Well, good morning, everybody. How are you all?
Good morning.
I'm going to tell you right off the top that my lovely companion, Catherine, is struggling a little bit with a cold, so her voice isn't quite up. So if she has the occasional cough, just forgive her and we'll move on. Actually, I'm going to make her laugh at some point, and I'm sure that will really set her off, right?
Probably. Yeah, but my hearing isn't up to what it should be either.
So welcome everybody to Vagaro Live with the two blondes. And of course you can see why we're called the two blondes, because we're blonde. And Catherine Hanson and myself, Aileen Eakins, we are the profitable salon owner. And our mission in life is to get salon owners profitable fast, really fast. And you know, one of the biggest things that stands in the way of profitability is productivity. And so that was one of the things that Catherine and I wanted to address today. It's about productivity. Yep. It's about really using your time well, because we are so guilty these days of not being focused on what it is that is the task at hand, shall we say.
Absolutely. We have used to be bad enough years ago, but now with the advent of all of our technology, it eats away at our time so badly, and we don't even realize that time is passing. I'm guilty of it all the time.
I think we all are. Yeah. And I remember as in my first job back in my early 20s, and I would often sneak away to the washroom. There was a couch in there, and I'd get out my book and I'd read, because of course there wasn't any internet. So I think that there's still a lot of that going on, except now with the presence of technology, it is so insidious that it's everywhere.
So this is really just about checking yourself to make sure that you are not throwing away time. Because what is the one thing we never get back?
Time.
Time. We never get time back. And we get paid on our time.
Let's face it, that is what we're selling in this industry. Yeah. We're selling time slots. And I think we often forget that. We think that we're really, selling haircuts and all these things, but truly we're selling time slots. And the same thing is true for accountants and lawyers, chiropractors, physiotherapists, you name it. They're selling time slots. And the number one thing that we have to do is fill the time, because that's where our incomes and revenues come from the time that we book.
And unfortunately, there is no rewind button on a day.
No, you can't
don't get a do-over. No do-overs.
No.
So we want to make sure that you are maximizing your time. And we're talking, obviously, your work time, but think about this for your personal time as well.
For sure, because we work and of course we sleep, that only leaves so much time left out of our days for our personal time. So the same thing is true. What are the things that you want to accomplish within your personal space, right?
Absolutely.
So productivity and looking at how you spend your time is incredibly important. There's no Groundhog Day here. And by the way, if you have not seen that movie, you gotta watch it. Okay, so let's take a look at the time stealers that we've got.
And these are just a few of the time stealers. What we're really bad for now, because we are so constantly connected. I mean, it is constant. And I see it all the time. And Aileen, we both see this when we go in and out of salons. People have their phones attached to their hip.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest interruption possible.
In fact, I was just reading an article on one of my news channels that said that one of the cities, I forget which one, they have actually put together a bylaw in the city where it's illegal to be looking at your phone in a crosswalk. I mean, how ridiculous that we actually have to make a law banning phones when we're crossing the street. It's absurd. Because we're hearing all sorts of
people stepping off the sidewalk and getting hit by a bus. That would
texting and driving, of course, is
that would
huge.
Really screw up your day, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just a tad. Talk about a productivity time stealer. So telephone interruptions are one of the big things.
Yeah.
It's the phone rings, and if you're in a meeting and you're talking to somebody, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and they go, "Oh, just a second. This is more important. I'm just going to answer this phone." Okay, how does that make you feel as the person on the other side? It makes you feel less important, doesn't it? It's like, well, wait a minute. I'm right here. I'm right in front of you. What about me? After all, in the salon business, it's all about me, the client.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. I used to do a lot of consulting work across North America, going to salons, and they were charging out $1,000 a day for my time to go in and help the salons. And I can't tell you how many times I actually had to physically take the phone away from an owner and say, "You are paying this much per hour for my time," because they were constantly interrupting on the phone. Eventually, I just learned to say, "It's your money. What you do with it is entirely up to you." But that is one of the things where we lose the most time. Another one that's a real big bugaboo for me is poor scheduling. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along, because poor scheduling, if it's only 10 minutes here, it's only 10 minutes there, those 10 minutes add up to a lot of money.
Exactly. Imagine, 10 minutes, an hour, added up over a day. That's in an 8-hour day, that's 80 minutes. That's almost an hour and a half of time that could have been used to generate incomes. And again, when we're selling time slots, every single minute has value. Yeah. I think the next one is socializing, not just on
we
social.
like to do that, Eileen.
We do, shall we?
Yeah, we love to socialize, and we're social people.
Well, we are. And that's one of the beauties about the beauty industry, too, is it has a social element to it, because your clients come in, you've gotten to know them, you want to check in with them. How was your vacation? How are the kids?
Yeah.
And hey, did you see this movie? There's all of these things. But if you take a look at how socializing can interrupt your productivity flow, it puts a stranglehold on your time.
Yeah.
So we're not saying don't socialize. We're saying keep a handle on it.
Yes, absolutely.
Understand that
we are a
timing.
social industry.
Absolutely.
For sure. That's
and you
not
can't
what we're
stop
saying
that.
at all.
You can't stop that.
And socializing with
coworkers
is probably a big one. So,
yes.
Social media, I think, is one of the big, that is one of the big things these days. Really track your time on social media. Sometimes we have to be on social media because we are posting. It's part of our business.
Yeah. It's part of our marketing strategy. So yes, we have to be on social media. But when you're just on social media from really a personal point of view, seeing what your friends are doing or yada, yada, you want to put a picture up for your personal, that's a no-no during work hours. It really is, because it steals from your productivity.
And visitors, people popping in just to visit. And, thought I was in the area, thought I'd pop in. As an owner of a business, this used to happen to me all the time. And I'd take time away from what I was doing, because I didn't want to be rude, because we're Canadian, we're even worse. It's just,
I'm sorry, are we?
That's really built into Canadians are just, we don't like to say no, or we don't like to be rude. I think Americans have, you're not rude, it's just that you have more the ability to be more upfront.
Yeah.
I think it's just built into us. So visitors, just be really careful about, guard your time.
For sure. And that's to say that you want to be welcoming, because your visitors can often be clients who have popped in as well. But make sure you acknowledge them, and perhaps, just say, love to talk to you, Catherine, but I've got a client with me right now. Could we catch up at such and such a time?
Yeah, absolutely.
So and move on.
And the next one, Death by Meeting. And this is actually the title of a book.
It is. Let's write one.
Yeah.
I'll write another one.
Patrick Lencioni I love him. He writes a lot of business books. So check him out, Death by Meeting. One thing we tend to get into is, let's have a meeting. But how productive are our meetings? That's really what this is about. You can have so many meetings that you don't have to have.
Exactly. In fact, Catherine, one of our blogs for Vagaro this month is on staff meetings.
Oh, there you go.
Staff meetings of the mind. So watch for it because it really tells you how to hold an effective staff meeting. And I think it's one of the most important things you do because in fact, one of the biggest drawbacks I think of our industry is that we don't hold meetings. And they are a very, very important way to not only move your business forward, to motivate your staff, encourage, develop, train, etc., etc. So they're extremely important, but there is a right way and a wrong way to hold meetings. So make sure you watch for that blog and pick up on it, okay?
Yeah. So we're just going to run through these because we are actually going to touch base with some of these as we go along. So, not having a plan. Eileen and I are all about the plan. If you don't have a plan, you have, a failure to plan is a
plan to
fail, and that we do go down that. Lack of self-discipline. This is probably one of the biggest things. And I know for myself, it is one of my struggles. I can get really caught up in other things. So the self-discipline, it's a tough one. And this is a checkup for us to see where we're at on that scale.
For sure. And in fact, if you look at the plan, those two comments together, no concrete plan and lack of self-discipline, in lots of ways, they're completely connected to each other. Yeah. Because as you'll see when we move on further, that they work in a synergy.
Yeah. Failure to delegate. That's the one thing. As an owner, I think we have this inherent belief that it's not gonna get done unless we do it.
And nobody does it better. Yeah. You know that old song, nobody does it better? We have to recognize that everybody who walks through our doors has skills of some kind. Yeah. And the fact that we are so afraid to let go of the reins because we feel that nobody can do it as well as we can. Oh, they won't clean the dishes properly. They won't do the color properly, whatever it is. And we have to get over that because failure to delegate, probably one of the number one on the list.
So poorly implemented policies and procedures. And that is even if you have policies and procedures. So we'll touch a little bit on that. Crisis management. Ooh, that's always a good one.
That's always a good one.
Because when things go wrong.
When things go wrong.
Do you have a plan when things go wrong?
Do you have policies in place? Ooh, big one. We're coming back to it.
Yeah. Open door policy. This for me was one of the biggest time stealers that I had because I bought into an open door policy. So my door was always open for my staff. Well, I didn't get anything done. So I had to learn, that there are times that the door is closed. Plain and simple. It's a closed door policy. When my door is closed, that means I'm busy.
It doesn't mean that you don't have office time. It's like in college, you see your college prof or advisor, and they've got slotted times on their door, interviews from 1 to 3 or whatever it is. So it just means that you're looking at scheduling again.
Yeah, absolutely. Lack of clear priorities.
Well, big one, because in our business, it is all about the priorities, and we have to really take a look at it. One of the things that Catherine and I have found over the years is that we have some amazingly gifted and talented stylists who do incredible work because this is a creative industry, and they often think, oh, great, I love this business. I'm going to open my own salon. But what they see is the beautiful salon that they're going to create. They see the color of the chair, the color of the walls, the chandeliers, or whatever it is. They see it all in their mind, but what we often forget about is to lay the groundwork for how the business is actually going to run. And that's the lack of clear priorities. It can kill us, can't it?
It definitely can. And then overwhelm. And that goes right back to failure to delegate.
Yeah, because I love the picture of this gal.
You cannot be all things to all people. We'll touch on that as we go along as well. So here's what we would like you to do. Now, we're not asking you to do this for a month. We're just asking you to do it for a few days.
Exactly, because even within 3 days, you will find that there's exactly what it is that you're doing. That you can take a look at how you're spending your time. So get out your notebook and just start making note of what it is that you're doing. Where
We're
are you
so
spending?
unconscious about how we spend our time.
Yes.
And so all we're asking you to do is be conscious. So this, let's say for 3 days, you'll track your time. You're putting your attention on something. And usually what we put our attention on, we can make changes in.
Yes.
So I think that that's huge. So where are you spending your time? You won't know until you pay attention. So
pay attention.
Get that notebook out. So just a couple of things. This is really, for me, this is one of my big passions is, are you booking 90 minutes for a haircut that usually only takes you 70 minutes? And I was saying to Eileen that in my own business this past week, I just had this conversation. And it's one thing to, want to give great customer service. But if you are repeatedly booking an hour and a half for something and it may only take you 65 minutes.
Well, there's an extra 15, 20 minutes out of your day. What are you doing with that extra time? Again, we sell time slots. Yeah. So when you think about adding up all those times, so the most important thing that we can do in our scheduling is make sure that we're scheduling appropriately. Now, I also think that when we see this type of productivity within the salon, Catherine, this is the opportunity to sit down with a stylist or service provider to discuss their techniques, to find out, well, why is it taking you 90 minutes to do something that should really only be taking you 60? Yeah. And that's about skills too, right? So this is an opportunity to catch a problem. And
if you're a single operator, it becomes more important.
Exactly.
Because you only have 2 of these. 1, 2 of these.
Oh, these?
Yeah. That's all you have. 2 hands. And there's only so much time in the day. So it becomes critically important to track your time and know what you're doing. So if you can just for, a few days, even a week, write down your activities and how much time you spent.
Exactly. Because, and if it's for you and you all of a sudden you realize that you're spending too much time at a particular task, it gives you the opportunity to self-correct, to do the skills training. I mean, there's so much information out there on how to improve your talents in any field that here is just a huge eye-opener for you.
Absolutely. All right. And so pretty soon you should have a clear picture of productive versus unproductive time. You might not like what you see, but it's all about change.
It is all about change. And the great thing about that, though, Catherine, is the fact that you do find out what needs to change. Because, this is one of the conundrums in our industry, is that we are an industry and a profession that is all about change. Yep. We're continually changing our looks and creating fashion and design, et cetera, et cetera. And yet when someone comes to us and says, hey, you've got to change this, or here's something new or whatever, we freak out. What? I don't want to change that.
So, what we do is we bring things to you that we think will bring value to your business life. I think if you get good at this in your business life, it spills over into your personal life. So ask yourself 3 questions for maximum efficiency. What are my highest value activities? What brings in the most for my time?
And this could be true from whether you're a service provider, the owner of a salon, the salon manager or spa manager, no matter what your role or title is within your business. This is one of the most important questions you can ask yourself. What are the highest value activities? And they are going to change for each and every role that's out there.
So just for instance, you may make way more money doing colors, let's say colors.
For sure.
As opposed to haircuts. We're thinking work smarter, not harder.
Right.
So look and see where where you could change things up there. You know, in the spa industry, waxing, if you're a really good waxer, you can make as much money probably in an hour as you can doing
a facial.
Doing a facial, but the facial offers you opportunity for retail.
Exactly. So you have to sort of weigh these out. Which one is going to generate more income for me? Which one has more value on my time?
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it is hard for Kath and I to tell you all that you have to put value on you have to earn money. Let's face it, we're all earning a living here. So let's be creative with it. Let's figure out what's the best way. Where do I get the biggest bang for my buck? Perhaps if you're a salon owner, you might find that your greatest value is in bringing in new clients.
Yeah.
So that means that, you know, your marketing skills are going to be
your highest value activity.
Totally.
So
it's going to change. So really take a look at it. What are your highest value activities?
Yeah. And what can I and only I do that have done well will make a difference.
Again, so many things.
Yeah, we go back to the delegation with this one. You know, there are some things that you know that you will definitely
do better
than anybody asking anyone else to do that. So, you know, that's what we're talking about with this particular question. So be really honest in answering that.
Like really think about it. Are you the best colorist in the salon?
Yeah.
Are you the best cutter? Are you the best organizer? What is it that you do better than anybody else? Because if we can choose each person and utilize their best skills, we create such an efficient organization, but we also create an organization that's going to be profitable as well.
Yeah. And that's really what this is all about.
Yes.
You know, and what is the most valuable use of my time right now? You know, should I be cleaning the salon by myself? That's really, you know, for me, pay somebody to do that.
Well, you know, we have a saying that we like to use. Do what you do best and hire for the rest.
Yes.
Are you the best cleaner? Maybe. Maybe not. Are you the best accountant for your business? Maybe, maybe not. But figure out what it is that you're the best at, and what you don't do, either delegate or hire someone else to do.
Yeah.
Take advantage of your own skills and share the load.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts.
Exactly.
We cannot do everything.
Remember that. Do what you do best and hire for the rest.
Okay, moving right along. Finger pointer.
Yeah, finger pointer. You.
And Aileen and I talk about this incessantly, about the 80-20 rule. Apply the 80-20 rule to everything. Because honestly, 20% of your tasks bring 80% of the reward.
I always think it's so interesting, and in case everybody doesn't know about this, but the 80-20 rule was developed by an Italian economist who applied it to productivity in the farm industry, and he found out that 20% of the crops produced 80% of the yield. And as he studied it further, he found out that this rule applied to everything. So Catherine and I have a mantra, and that is we want to be 20%ers. That's what we really look at. We want to be 20%ers. Everything you do is an 80-20 rule, and you can take a look around at your salon. If you're a salon owner, start looking at your revenues, and you will find that 80% of your revenues will come from 20% of your staff. And
yeah.
It holds firm everywhere. The most important part of this rule is that 80% of your revenues will come from 20% of your clients. That is one of the biggest things that Catherine and I believe in. And that means that we're going to pay special attention to those clients. They deserve to have that special treatment because they're 20%ers.
Yeah. And, you know, I've done this in numerous salons that I've coached. We've taken, and you can do this in Vagaro because they have all the tracking for you. You can look at your top 20% of your clients and really focus on and hone in on those clients. They are high value, and really look after those clients. So we're talking about, you know, some of the tasks that you do. Well, 20% of your 20%ers should be in your 20% of things that you look after.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the great things about being a Vagaro client or customer is that you do have access to all this information. And I got to tell you that, you know, when we were talking about change, you know, one of the things that Vagaro does, and Vagaro does well, is they stay on top of everything. So as they make changes, as one of their customers, you're getting automatic updates that you don't even know are happening because they keep you in the loop. They take the challenge out of change for you, which I just think is so incredible in today's age of technology, because we're always getting updates on our phones and on our technology.
Changing so rapidly.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it's fantastic to know that someone is sort of monitoring this for you. So thanks, Vagaro. Thumbs up there. Oh, can you see that? Where's my thumb? Oh, it's gone away.
So Vagaro, I believe Vagaro are one of the 20%ers in the technology.
In this, and they help make us 20%ers.
All right. Let's go back to your favorite thing. Have a plan.
Have a plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Oh, we had a question that popped up.
Oh, it's going to have to pop up again. Boy, do they ever go by fast?
Yeah, they just pop up and go.
Zip by.
Yeah. So plan your schedule ahead, and people who plan their day are way more productive.
Yes, they are. You know, if you can look at your calendar ahead of time, you pick up your daily schedule, you can see what you're supposed to do, and you can follow it. Catherine and I really believe that if you're, for example, a salon owner, you're not working behind a chair, you should be scheduling your time as well. Yeah. It's not just about, you know, scheduling time slots for clients, but it's also about scheduling your tasks. And I think actually you've got a great story on that, Catherine, from when you started moving away from behind the chair into working on your business rather than in your business. Because at first you were...
Well, I was lost. Because when we work behind our chair, when we're service providers, our time is basically mapped out for us. So, you know, every hour we have somebody coming in, every 45 minutes, whatever you book on. It's all there for you. But when you step away, so as a salon owner, when you go into your office, wherever that happens to be, it's a different world. So we don't take that schedule with us. And the very, very first time that happened to me, when I had to step away to run my business, it was getting too big. I remember standing in my office and I felt lost. I felt out of my depth. And I had to go and find a plan or find a time management system to help me. And basically it was, you know, just to make lists and check things off. And it took me a long time to do it. It didn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. And we just had a quick question from Anna asking, are there any new updates available? Well, I don't want to give anything away, Anna, but if you check Vagaro News on their website, you might find little surprises. Who knows? I'm saying nothing.
Her lips are sealed.
So use Outlook or any other time management planner and that you're comfortable with. And there are thousands out there. In fact, I really believe that actually right built in within Vagaro, you've got a scheduling calendar. You can schedule it right in there. And there is nothing wrong with a good old pen and paper.
My husband is honestly one of the most organized people that I know, and he does it with pen and paper.
Yeah.
And he makes lists and he goes down the list. So that for me is...
And I gotta say, I'm a little bit of both. I'm a little techie and I'm a little post-it note person. I love my Post-it notes. I have schedules, etc. You know, general layouts of where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do, who I'm supposed to talk to. But sometimes I have these little Post-it notes so that I don't forget to do certain tasks. Or if I have to prioritize something, I stick a Post-it note on because, you know, we're not a walking computer either.
So always work from a list and organize by priority.
Oh, you know, I got to tell you, I actually thought at first that said organized by profanity. I thought, how much more appropriate is that? WTF am I doing now?
You are not reading well, apparently.
Well, you're not hearing, I'm not reading. I tell you, between the two of us, we make a whole person.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week and a half for me with I've been in a cone of silence for a week and a half.
And her husband's very grateful.
I don't know about that.
Pick top 3 things from your list and don't move on until they are completed. Yes.
One thing that we all tend to do is jump from thing to thing, you know, from task to task to task. If you can learn this, pick the top 3 things from your list and absolutely commit to doing them, your life becomes simpler because you get things done. If you're a procrastinator like I am, or I still am, but I'm better.
You're a controlled procrastinator.
Yes, totally.
Controlled. And that is why, because when you are a procrastinator, and let's face it, all of us have a certain amount of procrastination built within us. But if we just choose those top 3 things that need to be done within a specific time frame, and we do them, first of all, it gives us a sense of well-being. It gives us a sense of accomplishment, and it makes us feel that we are ready to move on. So,
if we start too many things at once, it's like having too many balls in the air. Nothing gets done. We effectively become paralyzed.
Yes.
So if you can learn this little method, just the top 3 things from your list and don't move on until they are completed, it will move you forward exponentially. And I will tell you what we're all bad for, and I am terrible for this, things I don't like doing, I usually just keep pushing down and pushing down and pushing down. I have learned to do that first.
Yes, get it out of the way.
Once I do this, like there's Brian Tracy has a program called Eat the Frog.
Yes.
And by eating the frog first, because frogs, we all know frogs, they just incessant, just on and on and on and on. Well, if you don't tackle that thing first, it's going to chirp at you
all day long until it gets done.
And that
little mental thing that's going on, reminding you that you haven't done it, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah. So remember, eat the frog first.
You got it. When a new task comes up, add it to the list.
Bottom of the list. And then the next day you can prioritize your list again.
And then tick off your items as you complete them.
Because I love that.
It is. It's such a sense of accomplishment. Tick.
Yeah. Or I like to take a big highlighter and go right through.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a color girl. So I like to see the color.
I like the organized tick box.
Yeah. No, I'm not. That is off my list.
Done. All systems go like a boss.
So all systems go. We just really need to get organized.
Yes.
And I think having a manual for policies, procedures, protocols, do's and do nots.
And here's the thing, is that we all have systems. Whether we know it or not, we all follow a certain regimen when we're doing things. If you're cutting hair, you have a regimen, all of it. So if we put it in writing, and know exactly how everything works. It's really easy when you bring somebody new into the business. You can say, have a look at this. This is how we do things. You don't have to necessarily stand there and train everybody, but if you've got everything already in place, it's taking the mystery out of it.
Absolutely.
And how many times have we told this story? We've asked this question, what's the one thing you never see at McDonald's?
The owner.
The owner. And the reason is because they have systems and policies and procedures in place. Everything is very, very specific. And we need to take a page out of that because it frees up our time to do so many other things. It's so much easier to be able to say, you know, Catherine, in our policy manual, we have decided that this is the way, this is the time we start, this is the way we're going to open the salon, this is the way we're going to close it. Here it is. Well, thank you very much, Eileen. How fabulous to have this plan in place.
Oh, somebody just logged in and can hear nothing.
Oops.
I think it must be you because everybody else is hearing. So
yeah. So FAQs, know what they are.
Frequently asked questions in your business. We all get them. So make sure you have like a cheat sheet for the frequently asked questions. As a salon owner, it is the same thing. It's like repetition, repetition, repetition. And if you keep having to, if staff keep coming to you for the same thing, that's a time waster.
It is.
So
if you've got it out there, you know, and again, those are some of the things that you do cover off in a meeting, and you do it all at once. So make sure everybody's aware of what your FAQs are.
Yeah. And create blocks of time. You know, 30, 60, 90 minutes for whatever things that you need to get done that are important.
If you go back to the task that we got you to do, you know, spend the next few days tracking your time, you will figure out what your most important tasks are and how long it takes you to do them. So that's when you can start creating those blocks of time and know how much you need for them. And it's incredibly important. And I think you'll find that in being able to schedule, you will become more efficient and you will become more productive, which means you will be more profitable. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're a single operator, all the way up to a salon owner with multiple staff. It's the same. It may be smaller blocks of time if you're a single operator, but you still need to schedule that in. When I used to go into smaller salons and there might be just a couple of staff, I still used to say to the owner, you need to block out 4 hours a week to work on your business.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who we are, from a single operator to you must take time every week to work on your business, because if you don't, that's when things fall through the cracks.
For sure. You either manage your business or your business manages you. And we're a lot more profitable if we're managing the business.
Absolutely.
And of course, I think this one is so important, Catherine. Turn off your electronics during working hours.
Yes. I actually have a business partner in my business, and she's a hard worker. She does all the right things, but if I could just get her to turn off her darn phone, yeah, I would be so much happier. Even if it's in the back room, it's a small space, we can hear it chirp.
Yeah.
And I know that's on her mind, and as soon as she gets a minute, she's running to the back to check that. And it's like, oh my God, I might kill you.
How would you guys feel if we're doing this webinar and all of a sudden you could hear our phones chirping in the background or the phone's ringing, or if I said, oh, excuse me, I've got to take this call? I'm sure you would be incredibly irritated. So it's the same thing.
And if we ever do that with a client in the chair,
whoa.
Oh.
Whoa. That's bad news.
They are paying us for our undivided attention. Yes. It cannot be undivided when you have your phone vibrating on your hip.
Exactly. So turn it off.
That's my lecture for today.
Thanks, Kat. I love this. I love this. I love this. Delegate.
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 Yeah. Don't be a martyr. And I say this in the kindest possible way. Because we all, at times, take on the role of martyr.
For sure. I'll do it.
You can't possibly do it all and do it well.
Okay, but wait a minute. What about doing it with the sigh? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. So don't be a martyr.
Delegate.
Yeah, you have to learn to delegate.
And you can teach people to do things the way you like them done, but delegate it.
And they may not do them exactly the way you would have done them, but it's freeing up your time. And so what if it's not done to exactly your specifications?
Yes.
It's done. And you can coach them through that.
You can get that. You can teach them and train them to do that
Yeah.
the way you want, and through technical skills. So but you have to learn to let go and stop being a martyr.
Yeah.
And
if you are a single operator, I think this is even more important, is outsource the things that you can.
Exactly. So you've got a note here, a bookkeeper may charge $30 an hour. So why do it yourself when you can bring in $100 in that hour? Does that make sense to you? It certainly does, right? Because if you do it yourself and it's not a chore you like, and it's not something that you're really skilled in, get someone else to do it.
Now, I think it was Jim posted a question. It did not come across our screen. And that's how the questions normally come. They come up onto our screen. If you could repost that, Jim, that would be great. It was quick, so I think it was Jim.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah, it was. Catch that, Eileen.
Yeah. A great leader is a great delegator. And that is true. The main chore of a CEO is to be able to develop committees that go out, get the information, and then report back to the boss. And that's really what a great leader is. It's a delegator. It's somebody who is directing traffic.
I want to go back to the outsource the things you can.
You may do that.
Because in our industry, we have someone that comes in, I think, who is a very important person, and that is your distributor sales consultant. Where do we find the Vagaro news? We'll get Kat to answer that one for you. So let me go back to, so I think somebody you should have on your team is your distributor sales consultant.
Absolutely.
And Eileen was brilliant at this with her clients when she was out in the field. And, she developed a relationship with them, and she went in and she did their color order. It was so amazing.
Well, because I'm not a stylist, I'm a business person. I have my degree in business administration. That's my strength. So I wanted to share that with everybody. And so that's what I did. I shared my talents with everybody, and it gave my customers a break.
Yeah.
And helped them build, and I could share and I became an incredible consultant for it because of it.
You were incredibly successful consultant.
Absolutely.
Because of what you did for your clients and with your clients. So that's one thing I want to say. There is a great resource for you. Are you using it well?
Check it out.
Yes. All right. Moving right along. I've been pretty good.
You've been pretty good.
I'm starting.
You haven't coughed up a storm yet.
Yeah, I've gone through cough candies like crazy the last week and a half. I'm thinking about buying shares in the company.
All right. The most powerful word is
no. It is so powerful, and we don't say it enough.
No. And we're always so afraid to offend people, but there's all sorts of nice Canadian ways to say no.
No.
Say no to anything that is not high value use of your time. We already talked about what those things are. You're going to figure it out. And if somebody wants to interrupt those times, then you find a very nice way to make sure that it follows along after you've done those things that you need to do.
And say it clearly so there are no miscommunications, because a lot of times you say it in a way that people kind of,
they're not sure.
Yeah, they're not really sure. Did she just say no to me or not? So just, start off with, no, I'm sorry. At this time, I cannot fulfill whatever it is that you're asking me to do.
Or it could be something as simple as, Catherine, I would love to discuss your marketing idea. Could we schedule a time for that?
Yeah.
Just to, let them know that it is important and that you're going to do it at a future time.
Yeah. Eileen and I get a lot of salon owners phoning us up and can we just pick your brain?
Yeah.
Yes, but my brain is expensive.
Yes. So, yeah, I'd love to be able to help you. Here's my invoice.
Is this going to repeat later? Yes, it
Yes.
will be up on the website, so you will be able to hear all of it. I know you want to hear Eileen and I again.
Start coughing.
No. So use the word no regularly as part of your time management strategy, because it totally is part of your time management strategy.
Exactly.
And say it early and say it often. We have to guard our time.
Exactly.
And in guarding our time, we will have to say no. So rather than push it off, say it right up front.
Exactly. Get it out there. And you know, as we said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the word no. Just find a way to, you know, to make sure that you're not being interrupted for the time that you need. Okay? I think that's probably the best advice that we can really put out there. Productivity is a huge part of our business, and it's something that we tend to overlook.
Yeah.
That we forget that, you know, in selling time, that we have to account for the time. We have to count for every minute of the business day. So that's what we really want you to be cognizant of, is that every minute is worth money to you. It has value.